Republicans and Democrats have the same goal: to control the population. They just use a different tool to accomplish it. Howdy, howdy, Mr. Cappy here, and I'd like to introduce a diagram that I think is a more accurate representation of the political landscape. In my diagram, we'll start with the traditional left versus right line, only in this case, it represents a totalitarian total control line where individual freedom does not exist. Next, we have two lines that go upward, and as we go higher, the lines between left and right get closer until eventually they meet and form an equilateral triangle where the top point represents anarchy. Something to point out, the theory of anarchy is total freedom for everybody. The reality of anarchy is no freedom for anyone except the last man standing. The biggest problem with anarchy is that it lacks leadership, so the more one person exercises their freedom, they will eventually start walking over everyone else around them until one person is exercising total freedom and everyone else is either cowering in fear, enabling them, or dead. The last part of my diagram is the reality dot. This is the point that represents the real-life balance between left versus right and control versus freedom that a society is experiencing. Some examples of what this point could represent are socialism, where there is less individual freedom, such as ownership, or its cousin communism, where they have similar principles but are much more revolutionary and totalitarian. And to the right, we have capitalism, where corporations would have the ability to dictate policy in such a way that economic power would be centralized to a great degree, and we would live for furthering economic progress to the exclusion of individual pursuit of happiness. A little side note, I've toyed with the idea of making this a pyramid instead of a triangle, because on the control plane there is a third party that throughout history has fought to control the populace, sometimes starting with good intentions, but inevitably they turn bad. That third force is religion. For today, though, we'll keep this secular. Today, it's hard to pinpoint where the reality dot really is because it depends on where you live, the size of the city you live in, and other local factors. We live in such a vast and divided society that the only way we can stay together as a country is to decentralize power and look at what matters to all of us and stay out of our neighbor's business. In order for everyone to have freedom, we all have to give a little and respect those around us, and this is represented by when the reality dot is about 2/3 the distance between the control line and anarchy, and centered between the left and right.